Hi guys, welcome to this session on Introduction to C. So before we start, can you guys quickly confirm in the chat section if I'm audible or not? Is there any noise that you are hearing so that we can rectify it right here, right now? So in the meantime, I can see others are joining as well. Great Learning has come up with an initiative, the Great Learning Academy initiative, wherein we have 80 plus courses available for a limited amount of time. You guys can check them, and once the completion of the course, you will get certifications which you can easily those certifications can be added into your resumes, LinkedIn profiles, all the courses that the projects that you do in those courses, you can add them as well in your resumes. Great. So let's get started. So today we are going to talk about C programming language. Now, what are the things we are going to cover in this session? First, we will see introduction, then see syntax of C, comments, how to write comments, tokens, variables, then user input and output, how to use input and output, how to input, how you can expect write inputs with the help of keyboard, right? And how the output will be presented to you. Data types, operators, math function, Boolean, what is a Boolean, conditional statement, switch case, loops, arrays, functions, and finally we will conclude our session with what? Function overloading. Okay, so now let's get started. So this language, C language, is called the mother of all programming languages. Okay, this was developed by Dennis Ritchie. It's robust low-level programming language. What do you mean by robust? As you have more command over the memory allocation, right? You will write, you have to free your memory, you have to allocate your memory. Okay, so that's the reason it is robust. It's a procedural language which follows structure, right? You have to write, you have to follow a sequence of steps, right? So from this you will go to the next step. What are the you get certification in? No, there won't be any certifications for this live session. Okay guys, so it supports multiple operating systems and hardware platforms, right? You can write it anywhere. Okay, many compilers are available for executing programs written in C, right? What are the compilers? What compilers do we have? We have Visual Studio, we have Code Blocks, we have Dev C++. But if you ask me which is the best editor one can use, so it will be Code Blocks. It is easy to use and you don't have to. It will be download and installed in very less time. And if some of you are lazy enough to download anything, then you could go in Geeks for Geeks IDE and just select C as your programming language in the left hand side of that column, and you can start coding without any, you don't require any editors as well. Okay, so it is the execution of programs, right? C program, the execution creation will have two steps in it. One is compilation and one is linking. So compilation, basically you are compiling your program, right? What does a compilation process involves? So first there will be pre-processing done, right? We will see what are these hash symbols that we use, hash characters that we use. Those are pre-processing is done first, then compilation is done. Our source code, that is the program what we have written, will be compiled into binary object for code, right? And after that it will be linked. The linking phase will be is that once you connect your object code is combined with your supporting code to make it an executable code, right? This step typically involves adding any libraries, right, that are required. For example, if you're using printf statements and scanf statements in your program, right, then those files will be included in your code. Okay, right? So this was all about compilation and linking phase. So this is all about introduction, good to know information. Okay, so now let's see the syntax of this program, of a C program. So first, what we will do, a C program has following components. So the first component is that preprocessor directory, right? If you see hash include studio.h, this studio.stdio, right? This standard input and output. What does this mean? So okay, I will go slow. Okay, basically I want you guys to it's like reading a book. Yes, so basically I try to cover each and everything. Okay, so right, So I try to cover each and everything in this session, and once this session will be over, I'm hopeful that you don't require even any book, okay, for the things that I have covered. Okay, so great. So now what are the components, right? So the first component is hash include studio. I will pronounce it studio.h. Basically it is standard input and output, or so now all the input and output functions, right, those are printf, scanf, will be included in our code. Then there is void main. So this is where our execution begins. Okay, this void represents what, this is a return type, is the function, right? We know functions, once they perform a task, they return any value, right? So this is a value that this function return, and it is nothing, void, null, right? And the main is the main function, right? And it is our driver function. Again, execution begins from here, right? Then there is printf statement, right? This printf is just pushing the output onto our console, right? We are printing, right? Preprocessor basically means Praveen, so we are pre-processing before our execution is even starting. We are pre-processing some of the values, right? Suppose you are let me put it in a very naive way. So you are making a tea, and now what is a pre-processing that you should have already? That is, you must be having some ingredients, right? Like milk, tea. You should have it, right? This is something that you will require. So this pre-processing means that thing. And what does void means? Void means magic trick. A void means that the return type of this main function, right, wherein our execution begins, is that it doesn't return anything, right? If you see, is there any return? It means empty. Yes, kind of, it means empty, right? That you're not returning anything, right? The void null, this means that you're not returning. If you see in this code, do you see any return statements? No, right? Can you quickly guys can confirm if you see any return statement in this code quickly in the chat section, right? That means you're not returning anything. And then once the compilation will be done and your output will be presented in your console. So what is the next step that you do to get out of that screen? So that is enter. That is what this get character means. Nothing to show during the programming. Means nothing to show. No, this doesn't mean nothing to show. That this function is not returning anything. Okay, this is get, not fetch. So this is get. Get means get character. So once you will press enter, any key, right? Termination after any key is pressed, right? Once you will see, once we will run our code, right? Once we have run our code, and then there will be a screen, right, wherein we will get our output as hello world. Now that screen, how to get out of that screen? Basically this get character will help us to do that. So once you press enter or any key, right, it says termination after any key. Once you press any key, then this will be out of your then you will be out of your screen. Okay, right? So now what are the comments? How to write comments? What is a comment? Basically comments are lines ignored by the compiler while compilation. Okay guys, quickly guys, just confirm everything is clear till this point or not. Quickly guys, maybe yes, no, maybe anything. I can't see any yeses. Quickly guys. Okay, great. Get yes Lalit. Get is used to take character. Great. No, it can be used in Shubham. It can be used in C as well. Okay. So basically, you can you have a character that you're returning. Okay. Got it. Great. So now, how to write comments? Comments are lines ignored by the compiler while compilation. Why do you write comments? To make notes or provide details, right? What do you mean by making notes? So basically, again, the simple definition of making notes is that, okay, if you have if you are stuck somewhere, then what do? You make notes, right? You see, okay, I was stuck here for 10 minutes, not in detail, but you know, right? I was stuck here for example 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Then I did this thing. Now how to make a how to store it in that program, in that same program, and so that next time you see the code, okay, you will remember, okay, there was the thing I was stuck in here, and this is what I do and what I did to get out of that error. So you make notes. So how do you do that? With the help of comments. Now this is something for you. Now how to hold the screen, is it correct or not? No, basically it is not for holding the screen. You will be already on a hold, right? And to get out of that hold, you use gauge. Okay, so you press a character and you will be out of that hold. Okay, right? So now what happens after that? Okay, so now once you have written, this is something for you. Now how to write something for the developer, for the fellow developers, right? So basically what you do, you write comments. Okay, this is the thing. I am using this function to add characters. Okay, I'm using this function to add numbers. I'm using this function, the name of that function is add. So this is how you do it. So you write those comments to help yourself as well as the fellow developer. Sumit says hello, please reply. Sumit, what is your question? Get is you, I already answered that, right? So how to write a single line comment. So basically how to write a single line, you will press this forward slash or right, then what is return 0? I haven't written anything anywhere. Was it return 0? No, that means that you are returning something, but that return 0 means, in this case, if you're asking any question, right? So this return means, okay, so now this return 0 means, that everything that you have written in this program, right, it was correct, and its execution is completed, and then the 0 represents that, return 0 represents that. But now if you see in this program, I haven't written any return statements, right? So this return, that it is not returning anything, right? Or that is what it meant by void, right? Yes, hopefully, Sharia, we are trying to complete as many things as we can. Okay, so now how do you write single line comments? You press a forward slash, okay, then you write your comments. And if you do it, if you want to do in it multiple lines, right? In let's suppose you have sentences that I don't have any knowledge of stakeholder. Yeah, that is why this session is, we haven't written any code yet, right? So now we are just getting started. Okay, so now what you do, let's suppose you have something 2 or 3 sentences, right? And those are written in different, these two statements are, these 2 or 3 lines of code written in different lines, right? Now you want to make them in such a manner that you want them to be in your program, but you don't want the compiler to execute that. So you will write a multi-line comment. So multiple lines, it will be present in multiple lines, on multiple lines, and this is how the syntax is. Okay, so now let's see a simple program of how to use these things. Okay, if you see, we have a main function, that is void main, right? And then we have printf statement, which prints hello world, right? This print function is there. And how this print function came into existence? Due to standard input and output, right? That is preprocessor directory, right? Now if you see hello world author great learning, right? Now this is a simple definition of how to write comments, right? This is how you write multiple line comments, right? This is a backslash, then a asterisk sign, then an asterisk, then a backslash or forward slash. So if you see now in this program, if you see preprocessor directory, right, there's again Oma, I have repeatedly said just to get one character, right? Once you program, once you write a program, right, and you compile it and you run it, now the output will be shown on a console, right? And you will be present, or it will be present there, right? It will be present there unless and until you hit some character. Now what characters do you hit? You will prefer GTCH, right? This gauge. You will be using this gauge function. Okay, now this gauge function is used. Why? Gauge function reads a single byte of character from input. Okay, so once you press a single character punch, right, if it can be enter, it can be a character, b character, gauge is the way to get a user inputted character, right? It is a way how to get a character. And now this is used to hold a program execution, right? But holding is simply basically the side effect of a primary purpose, right? So what is the primary purpose? Basically, once you will run this code, right? Once you run this code, you will get a screen. Right now this is for holding the screen, and once your screen is holded, then how to get out of that screen? You press enter any character, right? You can also use I mean to say, if we have written get character, right? Similarly, there is some other function that we will see later on in this course, that is put ch, right? The put character, putting a character or printing out that character. Okay, great. So now this is a full-fledged program, and you see preprocessor directive are written in with a single line, and the compiler will ignore these lines. Okay, main function. Okay, great. So now what are tokens? So tokens are the smallest individual units in a program. Okay, so this is any program will contain these many things. What things? Identifiers will be there, keywords will be there, constants will be there, strings will be there, operators will be there, right? And special symbols will be there. So what are identifiers? Basically the abbreviations that we use. What are keywords? So basically in C language we have multiple keywords, right? Void, then we have what return is there, get ch, right? These are all keywords, right? So constants will be there whose value won't change, right? Okay, strings, this is a string will be a sequence of characters, right? Okay, so strings is a sequence of characters, and also we have operators, right? We have addition symbol, we write how do we add a program, multiplication, division, all those operators are there. We will see how they are dependent on okay, how these operators, how two operands, let's suppose 5 and 6, these are two operands, and the operator we are using is addition, and we are using a plus symbol. So these operators will be there in tokens. Okay, and special symbols, right? Preprocessor directives, right? Our hash symbols, right? These are all tokens. Okay, now what is a variable? So now how to store things? So for storing, obviously now we need if we want to store anything, right? Let's suppose you want to store 5. Where do you store it, and how do you store it? So we use what is a variable is a memory reference whose value changes during execution, right? It's a variable, not a constant. If you use a constant, that means we are not changing its value, right? And now if you use a variable, that means this will change during the execution phase, right? Let's suppose you have used int x equal to 10, right? Then this x you are incrementing you are incrementing this x in your program, right? So Mahesh says, sir, which language is important to build an app? So for building an app is that what is the language that you might prefer is Java. So it is compatible, right? You can also use Kotlin if you wish. Okay, so why we use a variable? So it makes memory handling easy, makes to use same memory location, right? So we are using the same memory location, right? Suppose you have written x and you have stored 10 it. Now this way memory location you are using throughout in your program. So this is a memory you are using the same memory location for storing for storing different values. Now next time what you did in the same program, you incremented your x, right? You wrote x plus 1, so you're incrementing your x. Now it will be 11. So for same memory location you are storing different you are using same memory location for storing different values, makes referencing values easier. So now if you want to refer to this x, you can easily go by the name of this variable, right? So this is how you reference it. Now what is the syntax? Data type, then the variable name, right? Then the assignment operator, and then the value. Okay, so this is how you write it. So now if you see, this int is a data type, and this 10 and 20.0 is a value, and this a is the name of the variable. Now you see the program. In this program we are using This is a complete program, right? stdoi.h and this conio.h, these are the two preprocessor directives. And now if you see, this return 0 represents that you are returning a value that is 0, right? And the sketch is used to hold the screen. Okay, so then we are using some these access format specifiers, right? %d lf for long, that means the long floating point variable, right? The double that we are using. Okay, so for printing out these we need a preprocessor directive, and we are just adding 10 and 20. Okay, so we are adding an integer value with a floating character. Okay, and then we are printing it out. Okay, now user inputs and outputs. So basically these are some input and output. I'm not able to click any link provided. Okay, okay, so now what this C supports the following functions, right? For user inputs and outputs. So printf, scanf are the functions that you will be using to print on the right, to print anything out on the console, and scanf is the function that you will be using, right, to get the input, right? Let's suppose you want to print you want a number, you want a user to input some number. So what are the function that you will be using is scanf. So get char and put char are similar, you will be getting one character at a time. And then if you want, right, so then if you want, so later on I will show Praveen all the code. Right now we are going through the simple stuff. Let's complete first the basics of this programming language. Maybe then we'll shift to VS Code, okay, if time allows. Okay, so now this is only the first session. This is just to get you guys introduced to the language. Okay, don't worry about how to write a code or anything. Okay, okay. So now let's suppose you are entering some values and you are placing a space, right? Let's suppose you entered, I have notes on C program, right? This Rakesh wrote this sentence, I have notes for C program. So right, let's suppose you have entered this line. Now you want to use printf statement, or you used scanf. Does this scanf has the capabilities to take all of this as an input, or this put char? No, so you will be using put s or get s. So this get will get the string including the space character as well, whatever you have included after the space, right? So this is a main difference between these get s and print. Okay, right, now let's see the format strings, right? The format specifiers that we have. So this informs the scanf function what type of input to expect, and in printf it is used to give the heads up to the compiler what type of output to expect. Okay, so now %d is used if you want to store, or if you want to get integer as your input and then you want to print that. %d is used for floating point, %f is used for characters, %c is used. Okay, then for string %s is used. Okay, okay. So now the C data types. What are the data types in C? So we have some primitive data types, we have some derived data types, and we have some user defined data types. So in primitive data types are the built-in data types that we have, right? So those are Boolean, character, integer, floating point, double, and value less void, that is void, right? That doesn't contain any value. Okay, then we have derived data types, right? And in those we have arrays, references, and pointers. What are these? We will get these one by one. We will try to cover all of these. Okay, then we have user defined data types. Those are structures, unions, and enumerated data types. Okay, now let's go through operators. So what are the operators that we have in C? So basically we have 5 major operators, that is arithmetic operators. In that we have some unary operators and binary operators, right? It is used for mathematical and arithmetic operations, right? There are 2 types of arithmetic operators, unary and binary. So basically unary means that you only have one operand, right? You will write a plus plus. That means right, that means that we are incrementing our variable only by one value. Okay, Okay, then we have binary operators, in which we use two operators, right? In which we have two operands, right? Let's suppose we have operand 1, that is 5, and operand 2 we have 6, right? A and B. Then you used this binary operator, plus sign, to add those two together. Okay, so we have unary and we have binary. Then we have relational operators, right? If you want to see, let's suppose you want to check if A is greater than B or not. So basically how you will do it, you go through your program and you write the if condition, and you see if you want to check if A is greater than B, right? What do you use? You use a relational operator, which are greater than sign, less than sign, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to signs, to do the operations. For it's used for comparison of values of two operands, right? The left side operand, that is A, and the right side operator, that is B. Okay, and then for example, for checking if the two operands are, if there is an if you want to check the equality condition, right? If A is equal to B, or B is equal to C, then what should you do? So we will use these relational operators. Then we have logical operators, right? It's used to combine two or more conditions or constraints. What do you mean by that thing? Let's suppose you want a person to be in school only if his age is less than if his age is greater than 4, and his age is less than 25. So how do you write it? You will use an logical operator wherein both these conditions are true. Okay, so you will use logical AND. That means only if a person is greater than 4, if his age is greater than 4 and his age is less than 25, only then he can go to a school. Then you will use logical AND operator. That means both these constraints or conditions are important, right? And now let's suppose you have some other condition wherein let's suppose you a person can vote only if he is greater than if his age is greater than 5, right? There is no upper limit for his age. So if his grade is if his age is greater than 5, and if he is, let's suppose, if he's citizen or not. So in this case, so again we will use an logical operator that both of these conditions should be true. Now there will be cases where you want one of them to be true, so you will use an OR operator. And similarly for if you want to reverse the conditions, right? If your value is true, only then, if your value is not true, only then this condition exists. What does a Boolean exactly mean? So Boolean means that your value will be either true or your value will be either false. So Boolean will be like an on-off switch, right? Let's suppose you take a naive example of switching on some lights. So it has Boolean values, right? It can either be on or it can either be off, right? Okay. Now we have another thing is bitwise operators. So bitwise operators perform bit level operations on the operands. Operators are first converted into a bit level. That means we are talking about bitwise, right? So let's suppose we have 4, and in this 4 it will be converted to binary form. That means 1 0 0 0, no 1 0 0, that is 1 2 4. So it will be converted, this 4 will be converted to bit form. That means 1 0 0. If you represent how is 4 represented in binary, so it will be 1 0 0, forgetting about the 32 bits which will be ahead, and all of them will be 0. I will be considering only the bits that I require, right? That is 1 0 0. This will be the binary of it. Now the calculation is performed with the help of operands on these bits. That means the first bit, the least significant bit is 0 and 4, right? And now this least significant bit will be compared with the least significant bit of the other number. So there will be a bit by bit operation. This is why how bitwise operator works. It is used for mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and can be performed at bit level for faster processing. So basically, if something is happening on bit level, right, it will be faster as compared to other simple operations. Okay. Okay, so now what will be the assignment operator? How do you assign values? So this assignment variable is used for assigning values, right? So if you want to assign something to the variable, let's suppose you have declared an int a variable. Now you want to assign some value, so you will use an assignment operator. So you want to store a equal to 5, so you are assigning 5 to this a. Okay, so this is how you assign values. The left hand side operand of the assignment operator is the variable name, and the right hand side is the value. The value on the right hand side must be of the same data type of the variable, right? If you want to store, let's suppose if you want you want this a variable to store only integer, so you only enter integer variables. Okay, now the values on the right hand side will be of the same type. Okay, so this plus equal to, minus equal to, multiplication equal to, and division equal to, this is a short form to do the operations, right? If you want a equal to a plus b, right? A equal to a plus b, then you can write a plus equal to b, so it is same as this a equal to a plus b. Okay, so now this is a full-fledged program for these, using these operators. Okay, so now basically int main is there. You have int a, float b, and double c, char d. So I'm using different data types for storing something. Okay, so we have an integer variable, we have a floating variable, we have a double, and we have a character variable. Okay, so now this printf size of int is there, right? And the size of this a will be what will be the size of this a? So it depends upon the let's suppose you are if you are using right, if you're using GCC compiler, then the size might vary. For standard, you can just put it. Right now we will be not going into that, what will be the size. It also depends on, sometimes it depends on the operating system that you have. If you're using a 64-bit operating system, it will give you as 4 as an output, and if sometimes if you are using a 32-bit operating system, it will give 2 as the output. So size of a, that is integer, it will be 4. Size of b will be 4. Size of double will be 8, and size of character will be 2. Okay, so this is how you do this. Now what are strings? Let's suppose you are let's suppose so the character will take only 1 byte. Will take 8 bits of data, that is 1 byte. Okay, now if you, let's suppose you have a string. Now what is a string? String is basically a way to store sequence of characters as information. Okay, so can you say so Mahesh, I have no idea when is the next Java session going to be. As soon as we will have anything, I'll update you. Okay, and also it will be in the community posts as well. Okay, Mahesh, so strings are used to store sequence of characters as information. Strings can be used by importing string library. Okay, so if you want, there are some operations that you can perform on string, right? There is string str.cat. That means you are performing concatenation operation, right? So great plus learning equal to great learning, so you are doing a concatenation. Here great and learning are true strings, as you can see, which are concatenated together. Right, now these are some string functions, right? So string function can be accessible by importing strings.h library, which contains all these functions, and you just are using them. Okay, okay, so now what does let's suppose you have a string named Amit, right? Sure, Amit. So let's suppose you have a string Amit, and now you are trying to calculate its length. What will be the length of that string, right? There is some important things related to string. Can anyone tell me what is the last? Let's suppose we have a string Amit, right? And how it will be stored? It will be stored in character by character. It will be stored character wise. And now in this character, what will be the last character of this string Amit? So it will be a null character, right? So what will be the size of this Amit? Will it be 4 or will it be 5? Quickly, guys, in the chat section who are participating. Sir, can you prefer notes? So for Java, you can use there's one book called Black Book, right? You can use that as your reference. For Kotlin, I don't know. I will check and I'll get back. Okay, and maybe in the next session I will do some research on Kotlin and tell you. Okay, for Amit, people are saying 5, Manoj is saying 5, Amrisha is saying 5, they are saying 5. No, so the Amit will have only 4 characters in it, AMIT, and this will be the length of that string. Okay, now why? Because this null character is only required to tell the compiler that this is the termination of this string. Okay, you're just using this null operator to tell that this string has ended. Okay, that's it. So Amit is, that's it, Amit, and then the null character, it will be ignored by the compiler and it will contain only this. Sir, stmcmp. So yeah, so then we have string copy, copying string to another string, right? If you copied, you have two string, str, character array str, and it will have some size, and then we have another. So once you are copying, you will just copy the data from one string into another. Okay, then we have string concatenation. You are concatenating. String comparison, it is used to compare two strings. Let's suppose, no, it's not that whenever we count from 0. So actually arrays, when we go into arrays, so basically an array, the name of the array represents its base address, right? You know that. So if you are talking about an array, integer array, arr, right? Now this arr is the base address. Now if have we started from 1, indexing would have been started from 1, then is this 1 will always refer to the next memory location, that is after arr of 0. So basically this is the memory address plus 0. This index represents the number of bits. Okay, so that's why this indexing starts from 0. Okay, so that's the reason, not that we always start counting from 0. This is not a reason. Okay, so string comparison, then we have lowercase, then we have uppercase. So comparing two strings, we use string comparison, strcmp. It will have an output as negative, it will give a negative output, or it will be return a positive output, or it will return a 0. 0 means that we are both these strings are equal, and if somehow if one string is greater than the other, right, if a is greater than a string is greater than b string, then you will get a positive output. Okay, and if it's less, then you will get a negative output. Okay, now let's see this program. So you have two character strings, s1 and s2. Okay, so if you see, this s1 is equal to 30. So these are the number of characters in your string, right? So there is some noise going on, just a minute. Okay, so now let's continue. So you have an input, you have a string, two strings, right? The character array s1 and s2, in which you will use get that you are inputting values, right, in s1 and s2. Let's suppose you put Amit, and in next you will put Mahesh. So these two strings you entered from the user, entered two strings, and with the help of get s you inserted those values. Now you are printing one by one. So strlen s1, right, this s1, whatever the user had entered in the first string, right? So for C, if you're trying to study C and you want a book, you can use for pointers, you can use Pointers in C by Yashwant Kanetkar. And even if you're looking for a whole subject, I prefer that do not go for Yashwant Kanetkar. There is one called Dennis, I don't remember his name. Let me just check it out, just a minute, guys. I referred to this book. It was something named Dennis. Or you can go for starters, you can go for Yashwant Kanetkar. You can go for Yashwant Kanetkar, Introduction to C, and for pointers it is best. For pointers, if you want to study pointers, go for Pointers in C by Yashwant Kanetkar. Uh, okay, so Dennis Ritchie. No, it was not Dennis Ritchie. So it was one book. I don't remember its name. Mm. Okay, as soon as I will end this lecture, in the I will try to remember its name, the name of this book. Okay, so now let's get back to this. Okay, best laptop for coding and hacking. It completely depends on you. Okay, inventor of C, Dennis Ritchie in 1972. Yes, Praveen. C was invented by Dennis Ritchie, not invented. You cannot say that. So he was the first person who started writing its code in. So now let's get back to our session. So string string concatenate. What strcat will do, it will concatenate both these strings. Okay, this slide deck will be shared, so you don't have to worry. Okay, about anything, how to get the how to print or how to enter values. So as it is, you will copy this thing and paste it. So we have included, if you can see, string.h in our file, right? So these are the functions that strupr. What does it do? It will change all the lowercase characters into uppercase. String copy will copy all the content in s2, which was in s2, and it will paste it in s1. So now both s1 and s2 contain same data that was present in s2. Okay, now what are math libraries? C supports large number of mathematical functions, right? These functions are various mathematical functions that are used for calculation. These functions can be directly used in programs, right? We can directly use them. We will see how to use one simple function, right? We just first of and foremost thing that we have to use a math.h library function, right? We have to include this thing in our program. Okay, now let's see how to include it. So we have int main and we have some variables, right? Short int a, int b, right? And then long int c, then floating point and double. So now if you see, I am writing sqrtsi, right? That means that I am trying to calculate the square root of a. So what will be the square root of a? Is if you can see, a contains 100. Now what will be the square root of 100? It will be for square root of 10, it will be for square root of 100. If you try to calculate square root of 100, it will be 10. Now if you see, b equal to POW, b, and then we have two arguments, b and 3, right? So if you see, now this power function, basically it means that you are trying to raise to power. So it means that you are using 1000 raised power 3. This 3 represents the raised power number, right? How many raised power you are using. So let's suppose if you use power 2 comma 3, that means 2 raised power 3, and this 2 raised power 3 will be 8. Okay, so this is how you use. Then we have sine function. Then we have absolute value of c. So if you see, d is if d would have been a negative number, right? Let's suppose d would have been minus 100 and you use abs, so abs will convert it into a positive number. Okay, then floor and then we are again calculating the square root. Now this floor and seal. Floor will if we use a floor value, floor and these are two functions, right? Floor and seal. Seal will consider the above value, right? Amit Kumar says the 128 to 127. Okay, so now if you see that we are trying to calculate the floor and the seal. So floor will contain it will take into consideration the lower value, and seal will take into consider the above value, the upper limit of that value. Okay, so now let's go back. Now let's talk about Boolean. A lot of you guys are talking about what is a Boolean. We were saying, so Boolean is a data type and it is used to declare variables whose value will be set as either true or false. By true it can be 1, or by false it can be 0. To declare such value you use the keyword bool, okay, and the variable can be then initialized with the starting value. So Boolean constant is also used to check the state of the variable, an expression or a function, as true or false. We can return a function if everything goes well, we will say return true, right? So now if you see the program how it works, right? So in this is a real life example, you can consider this program as a real life application, right? So you see I have used bool machine is working. So this machine is working is true at starting, so it is working, right? Then you you outputted the message, since the machine is working, the value of this is %d, machine is working. So now it will be value of what will be %d will calculate its integer value, that will be 1, and then we have printed machine is working as false. Now the machine has stopped working, now its value will be 0, so the output will be 1 and 0, right? Then we return 0. Now what are the conditional statements, right? These are also known as selection statements. They are used to make decision based on the given condition, right? So if condition evaluates to true, then the set of statements is executed, otherwise the set of statement will not be executed. Conditional statements evaluate a boolean value. Let's see what does that mean. So now let's see, if this condition is true, right? Let's suppose a is greater than b. Now a's value is 5 and b's value is 2. Now if this condition is true, right, then it evaluates a boolean value, right? That means it will result in true or it will result in false. In this case it will result in 2. So the if statement, right, the selection and execution of statement based on the given condition is done by the if statement, okay? If condition evaluates to true, then a given set of statements is executed. However, if the condition evaluates to false, the given set of statement is kept and the program controller passes to the next statement, right? So if you see, if the condition is true, the syntax, then we perform these statements, else we will skip all these statements. Now let's see a simple if else program, right? So if an else statement cause one of the two possible statements to execute, right, depending upon the outcome of the condition. Let's suppose you have used if 1. Now both of these statements will be executed, the statement 1 and statement 2. Now if you wrote if 0, right, then the else part will be executed. Here if else statement comprises of two parts, namely if and else. If the condition is true, the if part is executed, else if the condition is false, then else part is executed, right? Then we have something called as nested if. So you will use if, else if, then else if again, then else part, okay? This is something that is inside the other. If you see if condition, then in that if condition you have another if else statements, right? If the above condition is true, only then we will go into the next if condition. Else, yes, sure, we'll do that. Okay, if you go into the else part, then we will do the else part as well. Okay, so this is the basics of C, right? There's nothing extra. If you know if and else, then we can easily skip this part. Okay, so if condition, then else part is executed. Now if else statement is nested with else part. Now you see, we can also nest the, in earlier case we nested if else, we nested if condition inside the if part. We can do the same for else part as well. Okay, now if you see the simple program, if a is greater than b, then we check if a is greater than c. If a is greater than c, then we easily depict that a is the largest element. Else, if a is not greater than b, then if a is greater than b again and a is not greater than c, then we can easily write that c is greater than what? C is the largest. It is a simple program. You can easily depict these things. Now let's go to the switch case. So switch case statement works as a multi-way branch statement. modified from if else. Okay, it's common alternative for if else statement when you have to get multiple results. Okay, default condition gets executed when no conditions are met. Now let's see a simple switch case statement. So you see int e equal to 10, then we have a switch e, then case 1, case 2, and then default. Okay, this case 1 will be executed if e is equal to 10, right? And then if e is equal to 20, then switch case second, the case 2 will be executed. And then if the default, if none of these cases match, right, then is this correct, is this correct, is this correctly written, right? Is this statement correctly written? No, the cases do not match, so what will be executed? And the default case will be executed. Okay, now let's see loops. Loops are used to, these are used to to perform a part of code that is repeated multiple number of times. Let's suppose you have a code and you want to print all the numbers from 1 to 10. And now how do you do it? You perform use a loop, and then you set a condition that if are iterated, only then perform these operations. Yeah, Shivam Mishra says right, default block will be executed. Okay, so now it's demo part, the syntax of it, right? So you see, for int I equal to 0, I is less than n, and I plus plus, then we do something. Okay, so now this n represents the termination condition, right? How many times this loop should be executed. Let's suppose you wrote n equal to 3, so this loop will be executed 3 times. Now it's similar to what while loop. We can also, the similar structure of this is while loop, right? While the condition is true, do something. Now in this, what is the difference between for loop and while loop? So there will be condition first, everything will be in a single line, right? The initialization, the termination, and the updation will be in a single line. But that is not the case when you talk about while loop. It will be, okay, voice is not coming. Can you quickly guys confirm if voice is coming or not? Quickly guys, yes, no, maybe. Mahesh, there is already, okay, voice is clear. Okay, so Mahesh, there's already 3 sessions that are already in Java that will give you an introduction to Java. Okay. So while the condition is true, then we perform this. Okay. Now we come, we start, now let's talk about arrays. Array is a collection of elements of similar data type which are stored in contiguous memory allocation, right? Every element in the array has specific index, right? We have indexing always starts from 0, and the reason behind that is that the name of the address represents its base address, right? So if you have a name, right, everything will be stored in memory, and in memory we will have some address. Let's suppose that for simplicity we don't use a hexadecimal address, we use a simple integer address, that is 100. So now this ARR of 10, this ARR represents this base address, that means it represents 100. Now it is added up with its index. Now this index, if we have started from 1, now this 1 represents the number of bytes, right? The byte, or let's suppose the integer byte is 4, then we do what? 100 plus 4. Now this refers to the location, that is 104, right? So now this 104 location is it the first element? No, it is the second element. So that's why when we do 100 plus 0, that means 100. Now this is the first location, as the base address was this, right? Now this represents our first element, and 104 represents our second element. So this is why indexing is done. This is why indexing starts from 0. Okay, so array are of two types. They're basically single dimensional 1D arrays or multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, 1D array or multi-dimensional array. Okay, so what is the definition? So an array can be defined in this manner. So we have first data type, then name of the array, then size of the array. Okay, size of an array must be an integer as it shows the number of elements in the array. Now let's suppose this is the syntax: int a, then these square brackets, and then 10. This is a single dimensional array. Similarly, we have double b equal to 10 and 10. That means these are the rows and columns in that. It will basically, this is a 2D array, right? Or not a double dimensional array, it's a 2D array, right? And we have 3Ds, we have 4Ds, right? So this 10 represents, whenever we talk about 2D arrays, we think of it as a matrix, or let's suppose something that is which contains rows and columns, so it forms a matrix shape, right? So this is what a 2D array is. Now if you see, there can be static initialization or dynamic initialization. That means we are doing it on a runtime. Okay, so I guess I'm going too fast, right? I'm going too fast. I don't want to do pointers in this session. So is everything clear until this point, right? So is everything clear in this point, so that we will maybe we will do a next lecture on this, and we will try to cover everything. In the next lecture, and maybe we'll perform a lot of hands on it on the same. Okay, so quickly confirm, is this sir Android, your speed is normal? Okay, cool. Sir, Android Studio is okay for building apps? Yes, it is more than enough. Okay, so we will be doing I will be concluding this session here. Okay, Sumit, so thanks a lot, guys. So maybe in the next session, maybe we will do a series of this series of on C, maybe 1-2 sessions in future. So right now, if everything is clear, give me a thumbs up in this chat section that everything you understood, and a roll of break. So now Shagun, the roll of break is that, well, if you want to, I mean to say, if you haven't written a break statement in your switch case, right? Let's suppose you forget it. Now that means everything will be executed, all the cases will be executed, and had not you if you have not written break statement, so all of these cases will be executed. Okay, and including the default case. So default is optional, you can write it, you cannot, you might skip it as well. But if you haven't written a break statement, then all the statements will be executed, and once you have written a break statement, it will go out of the case if it matches that case, and it will go out of that case, and it won't execute rest of the cases. Now if you have skipped the break, you will execute all the cases. Okay, yeah, I want to learn C basics to advance. Yeah, Puneet, we will work on that. So right now, if basics are clear to you guys, now in the next session maybe we will do more hands-on. In this session I was not able to perform any hands-on operations. All right, so maybe in the next session we will not talk about these things, as these are simple enough. Now it will give you a head start in our next session maybe, and some of once again array. So one array will be completed. I will start from the array again in the next session. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, Mahesh. So anything else? I will start from arrays, and then maybe we will try to build upon that. Okay, many of us, we want to learn C programming. We are waiting for the core Java session. Okay, core Java session was already is already taken to twice up size. Maybe you can check this channel once. If you have subscribed to channel, you will get all those things here. Okay, Puneet. Okay, thank you, Shagun. Okay, thank you, Furkan. I want to learn Android advanced in Hindi and English. So Android already, I have taken a live session on Android as well. You can check that. Okay, thanks, Chanchal. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot. Okay. So do you have any questions regarding to the things that we learned so far? So Android based and Android and to advance in Hindi. Okay, Puneet. Okay, we will do that as well. Which software should we prefer? For this, you should prefer code blocks. Okay, and is the next session. It will be it will be announced in the community, you will get the updates as well if you have subscribed to the channel. Okay, many of us want to run answer. Okay. Next session on Java. Okay, we will work upon that. Can you take 2 sessions? Can you take a session on Java? Yes, surely we will do that. And it's for physics, for 1+1 for physics. Okay, we will see. Okay guys, thank you so much guys, thanks a lot. I'm ending this session, so thanks a lot. Okay, thank you so much guys.